What would happen if Earth suddenly started rotating in the opposite direction? At first glance, it sounds like a small change. The planet still spins, just the other way. But reversing Earth's rotation would reshape the entire world in ways we can barely imagine. The most obvious difference is the direction of the sunrise. The sun would rise in the west and set in the east, flipping one of the most fundamental rhythms of life. But this strange new sunrise would be the least dramatic effect. Earth's rotation controls global wind patterns through the Coriolis effect, and if the planet started spinning backwards, all major wind belts would reverse. Trade winds that usually blow toward the west would instead blow toward the east. Jet streams would curve in the opposite direction. Tropical storms, hurricanes, and cyclones would spin the other way, forming in new regions and disappearing from others. Weather systems would reorganize so drastically that familiar climates would vanish, and new ones would appear where nobody expects them. One of the biggest transformations would happen in Africa. Today, the Sahara is the largest hot desert in the world, but in a reverse-spinning Earth, it would begin to shrink. Moist air from the Atlantic Ocean would be pushed into the continent instead of being carried away from it. Over thousands of years, rainfall patterns would increase, vegetation would spread, and the Sahara could slowly transform into savanna, grassland, or even a tropical zone. At the same time, the Middle East would receive more moisture, becoming greener and more habitable than it is today. Meanwhile, Europe would face the opposite fate. Because ocean currents also depend on Earth's rotation, reversing that spin would reverse major currents like the Gulf Stream, the warm flow that keeps Europe mild. Without it, temperatures would drop significantly. Winters would grow harsher, summers shorter, and parts of Europe would start to resemble modern-day Siberia. The eastern United States and Canada would also become colder and stormier, while the western United States would warm up and receive more rain than it does today. Asia would experience even more dramatic instability. The South Asian monsoon, one of the most powerful weather systems on the planet, depends on rotational wind patterns. Reversing Earth's rotation would weaken the monsoons or shift them to different regions altogether. India could face widespread droughts, while parts of China might receive unpredictable rainfall. Typhoons would form in unfamiliar places, striking regions unprepared for such storms. Ocean life would also reorganize. Currents control the movement of nutrients, marine species, and entire ecosystems. Reversing them would push warm and cold waters into new zones, forcing fish, plankton, and even whales to migrate in different directions. Coral reefs would struggle or relocate, and global fisheries would change in ways that could collapse some industries while boosting others. Beyond nature, human civilization would adapt to a world with flipped weather, new coastlines, and transformed agricultural zones. Some regions would become more fertile, others would lose the climates that made them prosperous. Cities might rise or fall based on the new patterns of rain, temperature, and storms. And even though humans could adapt over time, the psychological impact of a sunset in the east and a sunrise in the west would forever remind us that this is no longer the world we knew. Reversing Earth's rotation wouldn't destroy the planet, but it would create a new one familiar in shape, yet alien in every other way. A world where deserts bloom, winters strengthen, oceans flow backward, and the sky feels just a little bit wrong.